Got some bombshell news coming out about Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, and more particularly Donald Trump's continued role in covering up the scandal and being involved with the scandal. At least that's the implication from 3 new emails that were released by a bipartisan, meaning Republican also, committee, the Oversight Committee, just today as the government is about to reopen. The Epstein embers are aflame again against Donald Trump, against the backdrop of Ghislaine Maxwell trying to get her sentence commuted, get out of jail now card. New information that the House Republicans who have been briefed by the Department of Justice about the Epstein files, it's been revealed that they're worse than they were, than was what first expected, especially about Donald Trump. As Representative Adelita Grijalva of the 7th District in Arizona finally gets sworn in today with the reopening of the government, and she's going to be the 218th signature on a petition to move closer to getting the Epstein files released to the American people. 3 new emails, and their implications are simple. Donald Trump was involved with girls underage, or at least women who were trafficked by Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein. It was acknowledged in 2011 in an email exchange between Ghislaine Maxwell and Donald Trump, as well as some other revelations that have just come out. I'm going to give you the information and the analysis. I'm going to give it against this entire backdrop. And then you can read for yourself the emails that have just been released. We'll put them up on Legal AF Substack. All right, let's start with the emails, and then we'll get to the rest. So the emails that have been released, here's the one that really goes to the lies that Ghislaine Maxwell told to Todd Blanche from the Department of Justice in order for her to try to get her pardon. Remember that interview a couple of months ago? Well, I'm going to play you a clip that shows you she is lying. She lied throughout most of that interview, if not all of that interview. Here's the one that hangs Donald Trump. This is Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell. She's known as GMAX. Saturday, April 2nd at 2011. I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim's name blacked out. Spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. Police chief, etc. I'm 75% there. I'm not quite sure what that means. Ghislaine Maxwell says, I've been thinking about that. Really? Because you didn't think about that or remember that when you were questioned with softball questions by Todd Blanche, Donald Trump's personal defense lawyer, now number 2 in the Department of Justice. In fact, you denied that there was a close relationship between Epstein and Trump, or that Trump had ever really been at his house. Here, you seem to remember not only was he at his house, but he was there for several hours with a victim who I have to presume is underage or pretty close to it. Let's play the clip of Ghislaine Maxwell piling up the manure in response to questions by Todd Blanche, lying under oath. It's called perjury. Let's play it.
Photographs of Mr. Epstein and President Trump together.
Yes.
And there's photographs of, I think you're in some of the photographs as well. Those all appear to be social settings.
Yes. That's my memory. If there were social settings, I don't know. Epstein's, if he had, whatever the nature of the president's friendship, if you will, or however you want to define that with Epstein, I was never witness. I think they were friendly, like people are in social settings. I don't think they were close friends, or I certainly never witnessed the president in any of, I don't recall it.
This is terrible for Donald Trump, because in real time, back in 2011, right? Years before he ran for office, in response to a lot of British tabloid press looking into the Epstein-Trump relationship, they start writing this to each other. Hey, we're worried about it. You know, the one person that hasn't said anything is Donald Trump, but he was at my house with an underage victim. Terrible. Donald Trump has denied having any relationship, despite all the photos and the videos. We'll play some of them here. He's denied any close relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, called him a creep. As soon as he figured out he was a creep, he fired him from Mar-a-Lago. Now let's turn to that. because that's also a lie. Here's what the email exchange on the email exchange between Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein about Jeffrey Epstein being banned from Mar-a-Lago. It's actually worse for Donald Trump, because the implication in this email I'm about to read you is that Donald Trump knew that Ghislaine Maxwell was effectively a predator, treating Mar-a-Lago like a hunting ground, looking for girls, Epstein calls them, to bring them back to Epstein. And all that Donald Trump did about it was not report it to the police, not turn in Epstein to the authorities, not try to save and rescue the girls. He got mad at Ghislaine Maxwell and told her to stop, which indicates that Donald Trump knew that Ghislaine Maxwell was doing something untoward and wrong and predatory at his club. And yet the only thing he did was to ban or stop her. Now because he's sunk so low, he needs a convicted predator, a child sex trafficker serving 20 years in prison. He needs her to vouch for him. Here's what the email exchange says. This is in 2019. Starts with a reference to a victim whose name is blacked out, Mar-a-Lago. Then it says, Trump said he asked me to resign. I was never a member, ever. Of course, he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. So let's stop right there. This is a real-time email from Jeffrey Epstein writing, he thinks privately, right? Doesn't think this is ever going to see the light of day, to Ghislaine Maxwell, his paramour, his girlfriend, his business partner, his co-conspirator in the sex trafficking ring, and says, of course, Trump, knew about the girls. He asked Ghislaine to stop. I mean, what could be more of fingerprints of Donald Trump all over this child sex trafficking ring than this email? Now, there's another email that's going to get a little bit of press, and we've had Michael Wolff on Legal AF before. It's an exchange between Michael Wolff and Jeffrey Epstein at the time that they were, I don't know if they were friends, but certainly Michael Wolff was providing some advice to Jeffrey Epstein as he was compiling information to write a book, like a journalist, some PR advice. And this is the exchange. Michael Wolff says to Epstein, December 15th, 2015, I hear CNN is planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on the air or in scrum afterwards. This is now leading up to the 2016 campaign. If you were able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it would be? Epstein says. Michael Wolff says, I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, which we know is not true, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Of course, it is possible that, when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime. So here's like Michael Wolff sort of coaching a little bit Jeffrey Epstein about what could happen if Trump goes after Epstein in that way. And maybe we'll get Michael Wolff on to talk about what he meant, if you can remember from 10 years ago, what he meant in that particular email. Now you have all of that, which I believe the timing of the release was important here, by the House Oversight Committee. And let me remind you, this is a bipartisan committee, including Jim Jordan, including James Comer, and they voted to release these three emails. Now, I think the timing is obvious. You've got new reporting in the last 72 hours that Ghislaine Maxwell wants to try to get her sentence commuted, end her sentence, let her walk out of jail right now as a victim of this, and Donald Trump doing it. Look at all the pardons he's handing out like Tic Tacs. So you've got that. You then have the reporting and committees that are looking into it as to why she's getting the Beverly Hills Hotel or the Boca Raton resort treatment in her prison. And why is the warden treating her with kid gloves? You got that going on. Then you've got the reporting that's come out that House Republicans have been briefed by the Department of Justice run by Donald Trump and have been told that the Epstein files are worse than were first suspected, that were earlier suspected. In fact, this is the This is the reporting that's just come out. David Schuster, a journalist, has reported that a few conservative representatives with ties to the FBI and the Justice Department have said that the true details of the Epstein files are worse for Trump than previously reported. We know that Michael Wolff's already reported that there were pictures of naked girls or half-naked girls sitting on Donald Trump's lap. The lawmakers seem to include, it may include the 4 representatives who are willing to sign the discharge petition to get to 218 signatures to get the bill out of the House where it's stuck, House committee, to get it to the House floor to vote for the release of the Epstein files. That's where Representative Adelita Grijalva comes in with her swearing in, because she'll be the 218th vote. And the conservative or right-wing MAGA Republicans or conservative Republicans that may have been talking as part of David Schuster's reporting are Tom Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nancy Mace, and Lauren Boebert. And now you've got one of the byproducts of the reopening of the government is that Adelita Grijalva is going to get sworn in as a representative. And of course, we just had a great interview with her when she was on the air. In fact, let me play you a clip of her talking about the Epstein files. Let's play the clip.
For him to stop me from doing that, because we all know, this is why I know that this is about Epstein, because this speaker canceled votes and sent people home a week early in order to avoid having a vote on the Epstein files. So he has his marching orders from this Trump administration. Do not let that vote happen. He doesn't have a choice. We have a special coming up in November and another in December. What's he going to do? Have us wait all this time? We cannot continue to have this government shutdown because of some promise that was made to Trump in order to try to keep all those skeletons in a closet. Those things are coming out.
Billions of dollars of aid, entitlements to people are being held up so that Donald Trump's not embarrassed by whatever the Epstein files say about him and others. The survivors for Epstein have come out and called for you to be sworn in. Talk a little bit about that, Representative.
Yeah, I was very humbled because I have continued to say this is not just about justice consequences, legal consequences for everyone that's implicated there. It is about providing justice for the survivors of Epstein and being able to finally see that there will be people that are going to be held accountable for what they did to children and women. And they need to be, and I don't care who it is. And so, I hear a lot from pundits on the other side saying, well, the Democrats had access to that. Why didn't they, send them out? I don't know. I wasn't there then.
Right.
I don't care who's implicated. I don't care what party they are. They deserve to have consequences, legal consequences to what they did.
Yeah, that's the difference. This is the party of morals and patriotism, and we're willing to let the chips fall where they may. And that's without knowing what's inside of them. We know Donald Trump knows what's in the files because he was briefed by his attorney general back in May, and they were busy redacting his name in the off chance that these files were being released. There's a lot of things that need to be released. There's a fight going on right now to get volume 2 of the Jack Smith Mar-a-Lago report. So this is going to take on a whole new life. If Donald Trump thought that the scandal was dying down during the 40 or so days of the shutdown, it's back, everybody. When you got a rotting, stinking, dead body in your closet, it doesn't go away because you left the house for 40 days. It's still there when you get back. And that's what we're watching. We're going to continue to defend those victims of sexual abuse here on Legal AF. We're going to continue to defend our right to have knowledge about the impropriety, illegal conduct, depravity of a president. That is not going to go away. We'll continue to do our oversight here on Legal AF. Take a minute, hit the free subscribe button, come over to the Legal AF Substack, where I will post the 3 emails for you to read as well. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popak. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.